Hello everyone, and welcome to Mindful Monday. I'll give you all a minute to be awake and aware that I am live here on Instagram and Facebook. It's Catherine here from YogaNaraska doing our regular Mindful Monday, where we do a little bit of meditation, a little bit of breath work, and then we talk about some yoga philosophy. So if you have a couple minutes to get your meditation on, please join me live. And if you're busy at the moment and you'd like to check in later, you can find all of these Mindful Mondays as well as my Workout Wednesdays on my IGTV and in my videos under my YogaNaraska page on Facebook. So you can always check them out there. I do have big plans to upload them to YouTube, but that's a lot of editing and uploading for me, so it might take a little bit of time, but you'll eventually be able to find them all there. As well as I have a new content library on my website, www.yoganaraska.com. And if you sign up for one of my packages, pricing plans, so say a month of classes, so 4 weeks or more, you'll get access to an exclusive content library that will have video practices that you can't find anywhere else. So you'll have exclusive access to those as well. Cool. Okay, so let's get into our meditation. We'll begin by closing down through the eyes, finding a nice tall seat, and just letting the stress of your Monday morning just disappear, letting it all go, beginning to bring your attention inwards, just noticing what is present in your body today, any aches and pains. Or perhaps you're noticing that your mind is very busy and racing. And just give yourself permission to feel whatever's there today. Just let yourself acknowledge that tension or that pain or that feeling of overwhelm or any other emotions that might be present for you today. Just acknowledge their presence. And then see if you can intentionally bring a sense of relaxation to any tense or sore areas of the body. And just give your mind permission not to have to be worrying or attached to something for the next couple minutes. Excuse me. Just give yourself permission to just let go for this short break in your Monday. Whatever problems you have, you can always return to them. But in the next 30 minutes, we are not going to resolve your whole life, so you don't have to be so attached to whatever is on your mind. We're just going to really minister to what your immediate needs are, what you need right now. And chances are that is a little break. So we'll begin to focus our attention on the breath now. And what I'd like you to do is count how many breaths or how many seconds it takes for you to do one full inhale. So let's practice that. So for me, it took about 5 seconds. Now we're going to count the exhale. How many seconds does it take you to do that exhale? About 5 seconds as well. So this time what I'd like you to do is breathe in nice and deep, and when you exhale, try to make your exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. So let's try. Okay, try 2 more of these. So we're doing 3 in a row. One more. Wonderful. Okay, so now we are going to add a pause in the middle. So if holding your breath makes you feel anxious, feel free to just skip the hold in the middle. But we're going to be trying a breath counting and holding technique that I believe was developed by Dr. Andrew Whale. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the 4-7-8 technique is attributed to him. And what this does is it helps us to regulate our nervous system and bring us down to a place of calm. It lowers blood pressure, or is it blood pressure? Yes, lowers blood pressure. And it helps us achieve like a state of calm very, very quickly. So you can always hack this by extending the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale, but this technique is a little bit more specific. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for 4. So let's do that. Hold for 7. And exhale for 8. Beautiful. And then we're just going to repeat that another 2 more times. So inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. Beautiful. Inhale 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. Beautiful. I just noticed that you could see on Instagram, you can't see my hands counting, but you can on Facebook. So if you're a visual learner, maybe head over to Facebook, but we can always try again. Let's try one more time just for our Instagram friends because I couldn't see my hand there. Okay, let's try again. Ready? So inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale 8. Beautiful. Okay, let's just two more for fun. Inhale 4. Hold for 7. Exhale 8. One more. Inhale 4. Hold for 7. Exhale 8. Beautiful. I'm into the word beautiful today. You're all beautiful people. Okay, great. So I hope that helped you feel a little bit calmer. It's always helpful in your meditation or breathwork sessions to sort of take stock of what your emotions in your body are feeling like at the beginning. And then when you've completed whichever exercise, just notice if there's any changes, if you're feeling any calmer. Or your breathing is less restricted, or your body hurts less. That one's a bit more applicable for a full yoga practice, but it's always really interesting to see what comes up for you in the present moment. And that's what Mindful Mondays are all about. Tuning in to your mind and body in the present moment. That's what mindfulness is. It's just being fully aware of what is happening right now. And you'd think we'd be doing this all the time, but our minds are often so busy that we are thinking about what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, all manner of things. And we're not really tuned in to what is happening truly right here and right now. I think Ram Dass sort of pioneered the phrase, be here now, which is also the title of an Oasis album, I believe, which I thought is where it came from, but no, they borrowed it from Ram Dass. So yes, be here now. Very simple mantra, but very powerful for living in the moment and living your best life and just being a all-around calmer, more reasonable, well-attuned person. So, our yogic wisdom for the day. We are finishing off our yogi code of the yamas and the niyamas. So we finished the yamas and now we are on to the niyamas and we have 2 left. So we already explored saucha, santosha, and tapas. So that is cleanliness, contentment, and discipline. So there's 2 left and we will be exploring those today. So the first one we're going to explore is called Svadhiyaya, and it's a really fun word and I enjoy saying it. Svadhiyaya. So Svadhiyaya is the study of the self, and this is something that I'm very into and I've kind of always been into. But it's basically the process of understanding who you are as a person. And this isn't so much about identifying with your the labels that people give you, right? So it's not necessarily saying like, I am female, or I am white, or I am a yoga teacher. It's less about that and more about learning although it is really interesting to sort of think about, how does being female or white impact the way I live my life and who I am as a person. But it's a little bit more deeper than that. It's more about being interested in your own personal ways of being, how your traumas have affected you, how you react to certain situations because of that trauma, and more just on a deeper level, why you do and say the things that you do. We tend to think it's sort of automatic, but there is like a deeper level to how we react to other people in certain situations. And it's usually to do with how we were brought up, how we were raised, the environment that we grew up in, the culture that we grew up in, our current situation. So it's about starting to be very curious about who we are as people. And it's not necessarily about labeling ourselves, because as you go through sort of all these different layers of the self, like there's so many to consider, it's more about realizing that under all of this, there are certain aspects of being human that we all share, and that on top of all the stuff that, is us, is, Catherine Van Wormenham is all this stuff, underneath that there's like this layer of things that we all share as humans, that it means to be a human being. And we all sort of share like a collective humanness or humanity, and it's being curious about that as well. So it's a very, very deep thing. It's a very personal thing. There's so many ways that you can learn about yourself. Number one being just taking the time to get on your mat and do some mindfulness meditation or some yoga. Journaling is a really, really great way to understand yourself a little bit better. And I'm really into personality, so I really like the Myers-Briggs Personality Type Indicator, MBTI. That has been really interesting for me to learn about myself as an introvert, and as one of the rarest personality types out there. It has certainly explained a lot about who I am, but I also don't want to over-identify with, this is my type as a person, so I can never change. It's not really about that. It's about noticing what you're predisposed to, and then seeing if you can challenge those ideas and see how much you really can grow as a person, by maybe tapping into the strengths that you find in your personality type or who you are as a person, and seeing how far those strengths can get you, and also working a little bit on the weaknesses and seeing if you can improve as a person as well. So that is what Svadhiyaya is all about. So there's lots of ways to approach it, and I hope that you find some that are interesting to you. But I find it's a really, really great tool for personal growth and to really live your best life if you truly understand who you are. Okay, so number 2, we did Svadhiyaya. Next one is Ishvar Pranidhana. That's our final niyama. This one's a bit more complex. It means literally surrender to the divine. So I guess this sort of depends on your spiritual or religious outlook. Some people would say like surrender to God. I'm not sure if I necessarily believe in God so much as like a man that lives in the sky, but I certainly believe in the power of the universe, the natural intelligence of life, the fact that all things are interconnected, the sort of subtle ways of knowing, like for example, how monarch butterflies know how to migrate and where to migrate, and all, converge on a single tree at a certain time of year. Like that, I believe in some sort of deeper cosmic power. And to me, that is what some people would call God, and to others, it's more of a sort of structured personality type, and some people have lots of gods. But this sort of idea of Ishvar Pranidhana is just accepting that there is something larger than you, and that you are a part of it, and not fighting against that power. Or not assuming that you are larger or bigger than or more important than others or other beings or this power in general. So it's not sort of like, oh, well, God has a plan for me, so I'll just do whatever I want and free will doesn't exist and I'll just end up where I end up. I don't think that's what this means. I think it's more about being in awe of this sort of higher intelligence and order of things, not fighting against it. I lost my train of thought there. What's the word? This is the thing about doing things live, is sometimes you lose your train of thought, especially me because I have a very busy mind, but meditating helps. Higher power, where are we going with this? Oh yes, I remember now. How interesting it is that we don't know what we don't know. There's still so much out there about the universe, about the cosmos that we are unaware of, and just being in awe of the fact that there is so much information that is not available to us yet. So, we can think of ourselves as humans as being superior and, in control of the planet and blah, 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 but there's things that are just way, way bigger than we can even comprehend, and that in itself is something that is worth respecting. So to me, that's what Ishvar Pranidhana is all about. If you come from a different spiritual or religious background, it might mean something different to you. And personally, because this sort of yogic philosophy isn't necessarily a religion, I find it is much more open to interpretation, and you can sort of live your life according to the values, but also sort of live them in line with your own values too. So you could take something like Ishvar Pranidhana, or what was the other one I was talking about? Like ahimsa, nonviolence, and you could think of that in different perspectives, in different lenses. So it's sort of not like a one-size-fits-all philosophy, and you might find over time that, right now, ahimsa might mean something to me, like nonviolence. It might mean right at this very moment, like not being violent towards other people or animals. But, in the future, it might mean something totally different as well. It might start to include, like, not being negative to myself in my own thoughts. It might be, a different meaning, still non-violence, but like I could think of it in a different terms, like beating myself up about my body might be its own form of violence, and that's something that I shouldn't engage in because I'm following the value of ahimsa according to my own moral code. So these are interesting concepts to revisit regularly and just sort of meditate on and think about how they can be present in your life and how you might want to live your life in accordance with these, I don't want to say rules. Rules is a weird word. Maybe suggestions or just concepts. But I found they've been really, really wonderful for me to consider my life from a different perspective, a much more open-ended perspective, and being open-minded to other ways of living, being, thinking, organizing our society. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed our dive into the yamas and the niyamas. So collectively, the yamas are one limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. The niyamas are a second limb, and there are 6 left. So in our future Mindful Mondays, we will go through the other 6. I'll give you a hint. 2 of them are pranayama, which is breath work, breathing, which we've been doing in these exercises and in these Mindful Mondays. And number 2 is asana, which is the physical postures of yoga. So a lot of people will think the word yoga and they'll think downward facing dog, which is one asana. But yoga is so much more than the asanas. It's 1 out of 8 parts. So that's why I wanted to start with the yamas and the niyamas, to give you a foundation of why and how yogis live their lives. So you can be doing yoga without being on your mat doing a downward facing dog. Like living ahimsa or Ishvar Pranidhana or santosha or tapas is still doing yoga. It's still practicing yoga. This Mindful Monday is yoga. Yoga is not just physical postures. So that's why I've been doing this series. I just really wanted to hammer that home, that yoga is so much more than what society maybe stereotypes it as, especially in the West. So Okay, what time have we got? Oh, this was a short one, but that's okay because I would really like to go out for a walk and enjoy this lovely weather. I've got some exciting things happening here at YogaNaraska, but I'm going to stay tight-lipped on that for now while I get it all organized and ready, but exciting things coming, so stay tuned. I'm also hoping to get, this is not the exciting thing, but it is exciting. I'm hoping to get some of my meditations and yoga nidras up on Insight Timer, which is a really great app for meditation. If you're into that, I'm going to be making some that are for sleep, so you listen to them and it'll take you down into sleep and there won't be like a wakefulness phase. So if you have some sleep issues, download Insight Timer and I'll let you know when I'm live up there and you can give them a shot. So thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you either tomorrow if you're joining our self series, not Ishvar Pranidhana. I was just talking about it. Svadhiyaya. This is a great opportunity for Svadhiyaya. On Tuesdays, we are exploring the self. So last week we worked on self-forgiveness. This week, I believe we are working on self-acceptance. Then we'll be doing the week after that self-worth, self-care, and then finally self-love. So we're sort of working on maybe rewriting some negative scripts that we have in our minds and moving towards really truly accepting, caring for, and loving ourselves. So if you're interested in that, you can join me on Tuesdays. Check out my website, www.yoganaraska.com, to sign up. If you have issues, let me know. I have been having some booking issues on there that I'm working to sort out. I'll be here live again for Workout Wednesday on Wednesday at noon. Thursday classes still ongoing if you're interested, and I will see you here next week for Mindful Monday as well. So, okay, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Ooh.